Hello. I don't know what day it is. I don't ever know what day it is now that I'm retired. You guys are going to get tired of hearing about that. I'll never get tired of hearing about that. Anyway, another episode of Youth Baseball, Midwest Baseball Moms. And it's me, Jenny Mayberry, here just to share a little bit of what's on Mayberry's mind. Here's the thing, too. I feel like I need to start out by saying this. I'm sure that you guys already get this, but the things that I chat about on this show, just my opinion, just the things that I think, it's just how I feel. Obviously, I am just a baseball mom. Doesn't make it the law. It's just kind of the things I think, how I feel. So just felt like I needed to kind of start the show with that. And one of the things I was kind of thinking about, I was chatting with Brian and Drew and talking about things lately with baseball that I feel like we talked last episode about the evolution of where the show has come, where I've come as a baseball mom and my boys and all of that. I kind of feel like it's the same kind of thing with kind of the state of where baseball and moving on into college baseball and how everything is working. And I gotta say, things I don't love or I feel like are putting it in a way that is just not something that I like the direction that baseball is headed is, can we just talk for a second about the portal? Can we just talk about it? I'm sure that there are people that love it. Maybe coaches love it. Maybe, the colleges, everyone loves that. For me personally, I don't love it. I think that the fact that kids can play, they can be doing great, love it, and then decide, well, let's see what's better and pop on in the portal and poof, off they go year after year after year. Or, in some circumstances, I feel like kids that commit to go to a school and they're playing and they're doing great and they're loving it. And then it's like those coaches kind of are like, man, I might like some of these kids, but let's see what we've got coming in the portal. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for playing, but we got to go. I honestly, I understand there's probably more to it, but I personally, not a fan. I feel like there is just something about it. I get it's a business. Don't we always talk about this? Youth sports, club baseball, now college, all of it is a business. Got it. But man, when you are a parent to a kiddo that's trying to play college or is in college or has been one of those kids that's playing in college and then all of a sudden has been kind of pushed on because there's something greater and better coming on in that portal, it's kind of a little bit salty to kind of deal with, right? Personally, I've seen it happen. I actually had my nephew who did play at a university and had a good season, played, had prepared his entire life to be able to play. And when he did commit, loved it, was so excited. We were all excited. And then after 1 year was, hey, guess what? We have someone else. We have a few other kids that we think that we see them in the portal and their eyes get real big. And it's kind of like, hey, I think we're going to give them a try. And, you've crushed an entire kid's soul almost. And off they go and they have to start the process over again. And I think that it's made it not fun anymore for a lot of kids. Baseball used to be things that kids loved and they dreamed about playing. And now it's made it almost for some kids just not even fun anymore. My nephew ended up going on. He did go to play somewhere else in another university. And after a few seasons this year, he is his senior year, and he decided that just exactly that wasn't fun and decided he didn't want to play anymore. Not because they didn't want him. He did stay at the same place for a few years, but it's become such a business. and it's not the same as it was at one point, and just isn't fun anymore. And chose on his own just not to play. And, you know, it's almost so sad. And maybe for other people, it's not. Maybe I'm a different kind of mom or a different, I don't know. Maybe I'm very sentimental. I don't know. I just personally feel like it's kind of sad. I do know that something I was thinking about, it may not be baseball, but the other thing is the whole COVID thing and how we have the 6-year, eligibility and all that. It's pretty hard for a 18-year-old kid, a 17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid that wants to play. And then it's like, well, you're competing against 24 and 25-year-olds. I mean, there's a pretty big difference, especially someone that's been playing for a long time, and then the whole age gap. You're competing with a grown man. And that becomes tough. I think I was watching, and though it's football, and Brian and I were talking before the show about football, but the Kansas-Mizzou game. And I think both of those quarterbacks, if I remember correctly, were both 6-year seniors. I mean, come on. Like, move on. It's time to grow up, go on, get into the real world. My opinion. I believe Mizzou's quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken, so don't come at me. But did he or did he not graduate college already? And then was it Penn State or something like that? And now he's playing for Mizzou. Like, so what does that say for 18-year-olds that want to go and play somewhere? You're not going to get a chance. You may be committed and go to a school somewhere to play. You're not playing over a kid that's been playing for 6 years. You're sitting. And I don't know. I have a problem with that. I just don't think it's what it used to be. I know that Travis played ball. And when you go and a school says, we want you to come play, you played. And I think that's not what it is anymore. You used to get excited when you would see your family members, your kids' friends say they were committed to go somewhere and play. You were like, this is going to be awesome. We are going to drive up. We're going to watch them play. And now being committed somewhere does not mean you're playing there. Maybe you committed to go there. Maybe you're going to practice there, but are you going to get playtime? Are you going to actually do more than sit on the bench? And I think it's just so different than 6 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's just, for me, it's one of those things that I've thought about lately. And it makes me start to think, I remember watching a kiddo play when Jace was a freshman. This kiddo was a senior. And he was really good and had so many offers. And he turned them all down. And I thought, is he out of his mind? Like, all these schools want him to come play. And he was like, nope. He said that he had always wanted to go to Ole Miss. That had always been his dream. That was the experience he wanted. He wanted to go and live that university life. And Ole Miss is where he wanted to go. And that was what he wanted to do. And he turned down all the offers at all these schools. He just wanted to be a student and go to school there. And he turned down offers to play baseball at a lot of good schools. And at the time, I remember, this was 3 years ago maybe, I thought he was insane. And I'm looking back at that. Now I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, he was onto something. Maybe he was way ahead of all of us. And maybe it was one of those things that he was really smarter than all of us. I look at it now. I don't think he's ever regretted that decision. He's having the time of his life, and he will eventually graduate. And I don't think he's going to look back and be like, gosh, I wish I would have went somewhere and maybe sat the bench, or went somewhere and had to enter a portal every year, or went there and competed with a grown man that was still playing at 25 when I was 18. And I know we can't look at the future and we don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that I see it over and over. And I've been around as a baseball mom and watched a lot of kiddos and their families before me, and it seems to be the ongoing thing. So just stuff I've thought about. And I think that it's kind of fun to see that he made a decision as a 17-year-old kiddo, and it worked out for him, that he doesn't regret a minute of it, and that it's awesome. I know a lot of times, like, we've had a lot of people talk about the junior college, which I decision to go that route. And I think that is awesome and smart. And especially if you're wanting to play baseball and get playtime, fantastic. I think that is honestly where people need to be looking. But I think it's going to start to become more competitive. I feel like that's the route everybody's going to start to take because they do want to play baseball and they want to actually be on that field playing. So it's going to get harder and harder and be a competitive way to go for more and more kids. And I also think that that's not the route every kid wants to take. There are some kids that want to do the whole big university experience and they want to experience that, and there's nothing wrong with it. And so hard decisions will have to be made. Do they want to do that and maybe give up playing baseball? And it's just kind of a situation that is tough. And I think it also starts to come down to, and I'm learning this as I have another kiddo that is a senior this year, that maybe it's more that us parents, maybe it's more about us pushing our kids to do what we think we want them to do than what the kids are really wanting to do. Because we know, yeah, your kid might be talented. We love watching them play. And it's been so magical for us that we forget that it's really not about us. And it's not really us, that we're not the ones that have to, it's a full-time job playing ball in college. And even if you don't get playtime, you're still practicing the same amount of hours. And you still have to put in the same amount of work and carrying a, full caseload of studies and everything else that comes with it. And maybe we need to start stepping back and realizing that it's about what our kids want to do and what makes them happy. And if that is playing baseball, great. If that means that it's going to a junior college or it's going to university, or if it means that after that senior year, they want to go on and move on past that there's a lot more obstacles that were not around 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, that there'll be decisions that are different now in 2025, 2026 that weren't there before, and it's going to cause some family conversations. And I think as parents, we have to be open to thinking about those things. I know for me personally, that's even hard to say and it come out of my mouth because you picture this whole thing, I know in our house and me as a mom, that you thought, this is how it's going to go down. This is what we're going to do. And that may not be the case. And in the same case as my nephew, it might be that they play a few years and realize that the love that I had for something isn't there anymore. And I don't think that as a parent, it's our job to make them feel bad or to make them feel guilty about when it's time to hang up the cleats, that's okay. That, whenever that decision is, that it is their life to make the decision. And it's just something that I've been thinking about lately. And maybe it's because I have a kiddo that's a senior and I've seen some things and I have friends with older kids. So that's a couple of the things that I was just kind of thinking about. And I think that it's important as parents to step back and kind of be like, okay, we have to think about this. I know it's hard for me because I like to be the boss. I like to say, okay, we're going to do this. This is how it is. But at some point, you're also trying to, build good humans, and you want them to be independent thinkers and leaders of their own lives. And that's kind of part of it. You want them to be happy and experience things. And college is a whole new thing. And that's part of when they do that. And here's the other thing. We're talking about going to college and doing that. Not every kiddo is built for college. I think that's something else that we sometimes forget. Our entire world is huge, right? And the show is about baseball, and we love baseball. And just because you don't play baseball beyond high school or even stop in high school doesn't mean it doesn't still maintain in your life or isn't a part of your life. if you don't go on to play in college or you don't go to college. Lord knows we need the trades and we need so many other things in our world, and people go on to do that. That doesn't mean you're not still having baseball be a part of your life. It's volunteering at organizations with kids. It doesn't mean that you won't be a coach for your own kids or for nieces and nephews, or Lord knows, maybe you will just be a baseball mom on a podcast with some amazing people when your kids are no longer playing. There are lots of things that baseball, sports, whatever your thing is, can remain in your life, even if that doesn't mean that it is playing beyond high school, beyond club, in college. If your kiddo chooses to play in college, chooses not to go to college, whatever it is, just know that if you have kids around this age, high school and getting ready to be done, that there are a lot of really critical conversations coming up, and that it's okay to let them be a part of the conversations. I know for me personally, this has been hard in our household. We're having those conversations, and it is really hard to kind of let go a little bit and allow my child to definitely, be able to make some of these decisions and talk about them and know that whatever those decisions are will be the right decision for him. So anyway, that, my friends, is what was on Mayberry's mind for this episode. I hope that if you have some input, I would love for you to put comments down in the comments. I hope that if you're not subscribing to our show that you do, and that you will reach out and give us some show ideas. We would love to talk about anything that you would love to hear about. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen in, and catch you on the next episode.